Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today is video 2 of our successful wedding consultation series. So how to take a prospective client from an inquiry into a paying customer. So last week we talked all about the before the meeting phase. So our initial response, how to set expectations, and way more tips. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely click back, go see that video, watch that before you jump into today, because today is going to be all about the meeting itself, what to say, how to guide the meeting, and really what the purpose of this meeting is. And so I'm really excited to dive into this with you today. Okay, so also just a quick reminder, the free guide that talks about everything that we talk about in this series and more, including a worksheet for you to use at your client consultations, is available for free. You can grab it in the link below. I'll make sure it's the top link inside of the description section. So definitely grab that guide. It's going to be hugely helpful if you are new to meetings or you feel like your meetings could be converting better, which I think we can all say that we have room for improvement. The other thing I will say is that every wedding photographer approaches meetings and sales and the consultation a little bit differently. So I would encourage you to have a discussion in the conversation, in the comment section below. Leave your process, and I would love to hear how everyone else is doing meetings, because I think there's a lot of room for us to learn from each other, see how each other does meetings, and maybe pick and choose some things that would feel good for our business and that would fit our brands. So you're going to see that there's a lot of variance in the way that we all do meetings, but I think that that is because all of us are different and run different businesses. So I feel like I had to say that because I don't think there is a one right way to do it. More so, you need to figure out what works for you and what converts really well and authentically for you. Okay, so you're at the client consultation or you're on video chat with them. You're excited, you're nervous, you managed to get this consultation, you really, really want to book it, I'm assuming. But maybe you don't know what questions you should be asking or how to best position your brand to stand out from all the other photographers that they're talking to. I completely get that. I remember walking into meetings and not really knowing what to say, not really knowing how to talk about my business or my process or what was normal really, because I had only met with one wedding photographer for my own wedding, so I didn't really get a good sampling of what was out there. And so I was really just making it up. And so I have found throughout the past 7 years of meeting with clients, some things that really work well and feel very non-pushy, non-salesy, but convert really, really beautifully. So I wanna share with you basically the 3 steps that I take on every consultation. So the first is that I want to get to know my couple. So if you're going into your meetings and you feel like you just end up kind of chit-chatting with your couples, getting to know one another and asking questions, and you're like, we're not really talking about photography, is this okay? Yes, actually, this is how I make up the most of my meetings, because as a creative small business owner, I know that I'm going to be working really, really closely with my couples on their wedding day and before the wedding day. And I really want to make sure that we're a good fit for one another and that I get to know them on a personal level. So I actually am genuinely just curious, like how they met and how they fell in love and how the proposal went, because I'm a wedding photographer and I love that kind of stuff. So I'm going to ask all that kind of stuff. And if you're wondering what other questions you should be asking, especially like details about the wedding day, grab the guide that is available below. I'm going to make sure that it's the first link in the description section, and that way you can take that guide there. I think it's like page 7. There's going to be a printable where you can print that out and it will guide your meeting just to make sure that you get all the pertinent details that go into the wedding day, like their guest count, their themes, their locations, and their colors. So then the second piece is that I'm going to educate them on the wedding day. So a couple different pieces. I like to educate them on how I work on the wedding day. So my approach, my style of shooting, how my team and I work, and the timeline. So that's its own piece. Now, last week we talked about how you should bring an album along so that there's something for them to flip through as they are meeting with you. This is the perfect time for you to share when you normally arrive on a wedding day, when you normally leave on a wedding day, because couples have really no way of knowing when photography should start or end. And if they like your work, it's your job to educate them on exactly how they need to book you and how many hours to achieve that result. So this is a great time to educate them on the timeline. So as you flip through the album, you might share how long each part of the day takes from a photography perspective. That way, if you let them know that you need an hour and a half for portraits, they can actually see what is being accomplished during that hour and a half, and it doesn't feel so loose or hard for them to understand. The other area that you need to educate your couples on is how it works to work with you. So what is the process from the time that they might book you all the way up to their wedding day? So odds are you probably don't just show up on the wedding day and take pictures. There could be an engagement session, there could be the questionnaire, maybe you help your couples plan their timeline. There's more value that you add. And so this is a great time to share what that process looks like and how you walk your couples through that process. If you have your workflows all figured out and you know when you're going to send them, their education or their tips, you give them outfit suggestions or location suggestions for their engagement session, this is a good time to share that because that's a value add. And it's really something that your couples may not find with another photographer. So share in depth and detail about how you serve your clients before and on the wedding day, and then what it looks like after as well. So what that delivery of the files or what the album process looks like too. So wherever you are working with your clients, kind of create some little touch points and talking points throughout those pieces so that you can share those things with your clients. So that's just one more area that you could be educating during the meeting itself. So the third part of the meeting is the close. So some people might at this point want to sign a contract or swipe the credit card, but I am a little bit different in my approach. I like to do three things. The first thing I do is I give them a hold on the date. So I like to let them know when they have to make their decision by, and that nobody's going to come in and steal their date in the meantime. Because for me, I really want them to choose to work with me as much as I am choosing to work with them, but I don't want to leave it open-ended, because if you just say, I'd love to work with you, and you leave it open-ended, they might really like you, but there's really no hard and set deadline. And so because there's no urgency, they might not get back to you and they might not make that decision, and another photographer could give them that urgency. So you definitely want to set a deadline for them to make the decision to work with you. The second thing I like to do is share what the process would be like if they did decide to work with me. So if they have a collection that they really like at this point, I'm going to send them a proposal specifically on that collection. But if they're not sure, I just let them know, hey, if you're ready to move forward at some point, here's the details. So here's what we have to sign, here's what we'd have to pay, and here's what our next step would be to plan your engagement session or to plan your timeline. And by giving them these steps, it feels very tangible because you don't want them to be wondering what's next. I do all of this inside of HONEYBOOK. So I'll link down below a couple of videos that I've done on HONEYBOOK to make this so much easier and completely digital. And the third part of the close is so simple, but I think it's something that a lot of people overlook. And I say, I really would love to work with you. Now, when I talk to my coaching clients and my one-on-one clients, we go over their consultations, and this is something that a lot of times gets missed. And so I think it's really important that if you do want to work with a couple, and if you do think that their wedding would be a good fit for you, that you say it. Every couple wants to work with a set or a team of vendors that are just as excited about their wedding day as they are. So this is a super important step. So just to reiterate, in the close, you have 3 steps. Set the deadline, set the expectations for what's next, and let them know that you'd love to work with them. So next week, we're gonna be talking all about the follow-up. So you might be thinking, okay, we've already talked about the meeting. Why do we have a whole nother video coming up? Well, I think that a lot of times couples are meeting with photographers and then they don't talk to them again. So if you've ever met with a couple and then they ghosted on you, this video is for you. You definitely need a hard and set follow-up process that's proven to get them to re-engage with you. And so that's what we're going to be doing next week. So be sure that you download today's guide in the information section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week for video number 3. Bye guys.